I'm very pleased and honored to have Alex Lawson, the Executive Director of Social Security Works, in the studio with me. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Tom. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome back.
Thanks.
So, Elizabeth, socialsecurityworks.org, by the way, the website, and people can tweet you at ALAW202 or at SSWorks.
Right.
Okay. Elizabeth Warren's plan to save grandma from being thrown off the cliff. Tell me about this.
It's a really great plan. So we've previously spoken about this, but just the background is that because of a real anomaly, an economic anomaly with gas prices, there will be no cost of living adjustment for Social Security beneficiaries, for veterans, for people living with disabilities. None of their benefits are going to go up next year, even though, as everybody knows, the costs of things are increasing.
With things except gasoline and computers.
Right. And that's exactly what it is. And the price of gas has gone down so much that on average, it actually is averaging out to zero.
Right.
But that does not mean much for the millions of Americans on a fixed income,
many of whom are too old to drive,
who are not driving as much. And as you know, and as your listeners know, the primary costs that they're facing are medical costs, which are going up far faster than regular inflation on a normal year anyways.
Right.
So,
and food. I mean, ever since Goldman Sachs created their food exchange, their commodity exchange, we've seen food prices going up absurdly too.
Exactly. So that's the issue. That's the background. There's no cost of living adjustment for millions of Americans next year. So, Senator,
isn't it like 70 million Americans?
70 million Americans.
And this is not just people on Social Security. What I think a lot of Americans don't realize is that the Social Security cost of living adjustment also applies to military retirees.
Right.
And it also applies to disabled people.
Right.
So this is huge.
It's huge.
We're not just talking about retired old farts, people my age and older. We're talking about, people who are 25 years old and had got hit by a car walking down the street and their back is broken and they're in a wheelchair for the rest of their life. We're talking about people who's like Paul Ryan's parents died, his father died, and he went on Social Security, survivors benefits.
Right.
And I mean, we're talking about all kinds, and that was the teenage Paul Ryan.
Also 25-year-olds who were in a Humvee that was hit by an IED while they were serving our country, because we're also talking about veterans and both veterans benefits and veterans with disabilities oftentimes get double hit because both of their benefits are not going to increase, right?
Well, all their costs are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth Warren, with that amazingly unique common sense approach, I'm laughing because it seems like a no-brainer here, right? Mm-hmm. In December, 70 million Americans are going to get a letter that informs them that they will be getting no cost of living increase next year.
Next month. Right now, the people who are watching or listening to this program know that.
Right.
But that's only maybe a couple million people. Then in December, you're going to have 70 million people who are going to get this shoved in their face, and they are the people who are going to be most upset about it. All hell is going to break loose in about 6 weeks.
Exactly. And they're going to light up the switchboard on Capitol Hill. They're going to be calling into your show, to all the shows. They're going to be writing their newspapers, as they should. But luckily, Elizabeth Warren is leading on this one. She's not waiting. So she sees this issue. She puts together actually an impressive amount of co-sponsors. She's got 20 senators on this, including Chuck Schumer, rising leader, and Senator Sanders, who's going to make this an issue, hopefully in the presidential as well, as he should.
Right.
And their bill, and I really think it's well designed, because what she did is she looked at what is the average CEO's cost of living adjustment. And she found, according to EPI, it's around 3.9%. And so she said, well, if it's good enough for CEOs, then it's good enough for America's seniors and veterans and people living with disabilities. So she has a one-time COLA replacement of 3.9%, which is about $580. And that would be a check that would go out to those 70 million people who are receiving that letter. But I think that all of that is fantastic. But I think it's this next part that just really, my admiration is very high. Mm-hmm. How does she pay for it? she finds a loophole that has the American taxpayers subsidizing CEO bonuses and closes that loophole. This is a loophole that Republicans have in the past supported closing because it is such an egregious giveaway to CEOs.
What is this have to do with capital gains, or does it have to do with the deductibility?
Deductibility of the bonuses. After $1 million, they can give their CEOs bonuses as long as they're performance-based. I'm using a lot of air quotes here because they're obviously not performance-based, because we've seen, there are CEOs whose companies have basically tanked and gotten these performance bonuses. This is now
Carly Fiorina being one of them.
Exactly. So this is just standard CEO income that is subsidized by the American taxpayers. Right. So close that loophole. Take that money, pay for this one-time $580 COLA replacement check. It's just a really, really well-designed bill.
Is this a permanent closing of that loophole, or a one-year closing?
It is a permanent closing of the loophole, which is fantastic. And actually, over time, that money would continue to go into Social Security.
Yeah. Now, for people who don't understand the whole loophole thing, let me lay out my understanding of it. You can tell me if I've got this right or not. Back some years ago, Congress... Actually, I think this goes back to the 30s. I could be wrong. But Congress said, okay, if a CEO is being paid $1 million a year, the corporation can deduct that $1 million. I mean, if somebody's paid $60,000, $30,000, $10,000, whatever, the corporation can deduct the cost of that as a cost of doing business. But we want to discourage corporations from paying people outrageous amounts of money. And so they can still pay it. You can't stop it. But what we're going to say is that after $1 million in salary, in the course of a year, after somebody's made their first $1 million, they can continue to take that money from the corporation, but the corporation can no longer claim a tax deduction off their federal income taxes on it. Now, for some corporations that have figured out how to really rig the game, that's not a big deal. But for other big corporations, it's a huge deal. And in order to get around this, what the CEO class did was they got this rule passed that if it's not your paycheck, if it's a bonus and it's tied to your performance, then it continues to be deductible even though it's over $1 million.
Exactly.
Which is the loophole.
That's exactly it. And just to give the figures, the average CEO pay among the top 350 firms is $16.3 million. And
wow.
The 100 largest CEOs' retirement accounts, this is just staggering to me, are worth $4.9 billion, which is as much in retirement savings as 41% of Americans. So this is
100 companies?
For the retirement accounts, the 100 largest CEO retirement accounts are worth a combined $4.9 billion, which, if we had more time, we could talk about. That's yet another loophole where they've found to pump money into their retirement accounts to get around paying their fair share.
You and I can't create those kind of retirement accounts. We're limited to, $15,000 a year for an IRA or whatever. I don't remember because I don't do that stuff. But in any case, Alec Lawson, Executive Director of Social Security Works, socialsecurityworks.org. You can tweet him at ALAW202 or SSWorks. Alex, thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks for dropping by. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.